Happy New Year, Medical Wildcats. I'm Joseph Guggenheim. I'm a 1972 alum of the medical school, and this month's presentation is on part 2 of Chicago's Magnificent Mile. Last month, I spoke about the history and status quo of North Michigan Avenue, and this month I'll be talking about the future. There's some changes that have been proposed by a Blue Ribbon Committee consisting of architects, city planners, and other experts, and I'll share some of their suggestions with you. North Michigan Avenue is one of the most beautiful streets in the United States, with these flowers that are changed seasonally on the medians and the planter boxes along the sidewalk. During the holiday season, the festive lights are beautiful, and these tiny Italian lights actually had their beginning in the United States in Chicago on Michigan Avenue at Saks Fifth Avenue in 1959, and now they've become popular all over the US and the world. There's a tremendous economic impact of the Magnificent Mile to the city of Chicago. It attracts approximately 20 million visitors per year, and approximately 1/5 of the total jobs in Chicago are at the Magnificent Mile. 60% of the jobs are held by Chicago residents. And during the economic downturn with the pandemic, approximately 1/3 of the city's total tax loss was due to a loss in sales tax along the Mag Mile. But there are some challenges we face along the mile right now. There's a 30% vacancy rate in the businesses versus 4% in 2016 and only 3% on Oak Street. Many people regard the Magnificent Mile as just another mall and say that the businesses are boring and that most of the retailers could be found in any local mall. People only go when they need to because it's not easily accessible. You can go on the red line to the Chicago Avenue L stop or Grand Avenue, but that's about as close as you can get using public transportation. There's been no highway built to the Magnificent Mile since the Kennedy Expressway in the 1950s. It's not pedestrian friendly. There are too many cars, and you notice this if you ever try to cross the street in front of turning cars. And crime seems to be increasing. In the past, approximately 43,000 visitors went to the Water Tower Place every weekend, but the numbers have really dwindled since then. And the Water Tower Place and the shops at Northbridge have been turned back to the investors now. People feel that the merchandising is similar to what can be found elsewhere, including online. And the dining and entertainment venues are very limited. The high rent makes it difficult for small businesses to open on the Magnificent Mile. The upper floors of the buildings are underutilized, and the sidewalks are cracked and full of potholes. Crime seems to be a problem, but law enforcement personnel must be visible and be effective. But cruisers parked with lights flashing along the mile are not very environmental. Are not compatible with a gentle evening stroll to do some shopping or some lingering and people watching. The law enforcement personnel must be visible and friendly, but effective. And it's been suggested that they be on foot or horseback because police appear friendlier like this than in police cars. Local businesses should begin an immediate media campaign to bring back visitors and other businesses with the idea that the Mag Mile is safe now. This Blue Ribbon panel that was convened a few months ago of city planners and architects made some suggestions. And one of them was that the Mag Mile established 2 anchor points, one at each end. The north end in the past has been the Drake Hotel and the Oak Street Beach, and the south end has been the river. Most of the activity now has been shifted southward to the river and the new large Apple store. But the Oak Street Beach is the most popular beach along Lake Michigan. But access is somewhat limited. The pedestrian subway that goes from Michigan Avenue underneath Lakeshore Drive to the Oak Street Beach is damp and poorly lit and full of graffiti, not very inviting. It's been proposed that a new bridge be built over Lakeshore Drive to connect Michigan Avenue to Oak Street Beach. And this would be something bold and audacious, like the bean that would say, "This is Chicago and we're back." This would link the Mag Mile to the Oak Street Beach and indirectly the Millennium Park to the Oak Street Beach. An international competition for the design could be held. And at the top of the bridge, pedestrians could look south and see down the entire Mag Mile. The beauty of the street could be enhanced by unifying the streetscape. Right now, the individual merchants are responsible for the plantings in front of their stores. Perhaps colorful benches, chairs, and tables for lingering and people watching could be added. If people spend time on the Mag Mile, they will be spending money on the Mag Mile. Arts and design organizations could add decorative seating, which would advertise their presence. And pedestrian crosswalks could be made colorful, wider, and more inviting. This is a series of examples from other cities. Old Town Square in Fort Collins, Colorado has these planter boxes with chairs and tables for lingering. The Champs-Élysées in Paris has both indoor and outdoor seating for restaurants. These places that have both say to the pedestrians, come on in, we're open for your business. And the picture at the bottom shows the pedestrian walkways in Santiago, Chile. It's been proposed that pocket plazas be built, and these are the small areas in the orange rectangle, the picture on the right, at Ohio Street, Grand Avenue, and Pioneer Court. This would utilize the space between the buildings, and pocket plazas could be built where the Mag Mile is cantilevered over Illinois Street and Grand Avenue. Pocket plazas, which are actually small, narrow parks, could be built from Michigan Avenue at the Water Tower Place all the way to Lake Michigan, seen in this aerial photograph. At the bottom of the photo, you can see the water tower, and then going eastward, you can see the Museum of Contemporary Art, Lakeshore Park, and Lake Michigan. This could be unified into one park. There's no reason why the firehouse has to be located there, and the Department of Water Management could be moved, so this could be converted to park space. An example of what can be built is seen in Bryant Park in New York City, in Manhattan. This is a pocket park that is 2 blocks north to south and 1 very long block from east to west. It houses the New York Public Library, and there are facilities for many activities, including riding a carousel, birding, watching movies, having picnics and music performances, a boot camp for exercisers, yoga, chess, ice skating, and other activities in this very small park. The porosity between the buildings could be increased. Businesses, especially restaurants, should open up to the street with floor-to-ceiling windows. This would invite people to come on in. In good weather, seating could be outdoors, as seen in this picture on the right of Regent Street in London. This is done by increasing the porosity, integrating the indoor and outdoor facilities. Neighborhood connections could be expanded. The water tower, the water taxi along the river could be used as a commuter facility for transporting people from the rail station to Michigan Avenue. More scenic walkways could be built between the Mag Mile and Navy Pier, 2 tourist sites that people frequently go to. And cleaner, safer, more scenic paths could be made between the Mag Mile and the CTA station at Grand Avenue and Chicago Avenue, and also Navy Pier. Another proposal was to create distinctive retail zones and cluster the different types of businesses in each of the 4 zones. The northern end would be moved from the Drake to Oak Street, and the southern end would be the river, and there would be 4 distinct zones. The north end would go from Oak Street as the north end to the to Delaware Street. And this is between the 2 purple arrows in this picture. This would house the small format and luxury boutique stores. The second zone would be what is called an experiential zone. And this would be from East Delaware to East Chicago, the yellow line between the two purple arrows. And such businesses that could be in this area might include the Legoland Discovery Center, the current Harry Potter exhibit, the Ice Cream Museum, and the large Starbucks store. Rotating exhibits such as the Van Gogh exhibit could also be here. People would go to this zone to see something, to experience something that they haven't experienced in the past. There could be theaters and a concert venue, and some of the other things that have been proposed include a beverage tasting room, a cannabis bar, a high-end sports book, virtual reality theme park, and a high-end casino. Some of these have been tried in Las Vegas and are making money. The third zone would be the large retail zone. This would be from Chicago Avenue to Grand Avenue. This would include the current retail stores such as Under Armour, Burberry, Cartier, and Nike. This is the magenta area between the two purple arrows. And the fourth and final zone is the Riverwalk zone. This includes the large retail stores such as Apple Store, and also some of the iconic landmarks such as the Dussault Bridge, the Wrigley Building, the Tribune Tower, and the Chicago Architecture Center, as well as the Riverwalk, which connects Michigan Avenue to the river west from Michigan Avenue. The Riverwalk now is an area where one can walk, and with the boats, boats could provide a view of Chicago's architecture, such as the Chicago Architects Center is doing now. This would also serve as a commuter method from the rail station to Michigan Avenue. Restaurants could be added to invite people to come to Michigan Avenue. Diners would like to patronize a celebrity chef and high concept restaurants. Right now, there are 23 Michelin-starred restaurants in Chicago, none along Michigan Avenue. Les Nomades is just off Michigan Avenue and was considered a high-end restaurant, and probably still is, but it is off Michigan Avenue and it's not Michelin-starred, and it's only open a few days a week. These small cafes could spill out into the street. The upper floors could be used for fine dining for people that don't want to watch the hustle and bustle of the street while they're dining. Food trucks and food kiosks could be brought in, and this would allow rotating menus for people that come to the Mag Mile. Other proposals include adding more residential buildings, such as in the Tribune Tower now. The Tribune Tower is exclusively high-end condos. It no longer houses the Chicago Tribune newspaper. There is underused office space in the upper floors along the Mag Mile. Perhaps this could be used for student housing for University of Illinois facilities or Northwestern. Medical hotels could be added. This would be for people who come to Chicago for surgery such as plastic surgery, where they might want to stay for a few days, but they don't need the intensive care of a hospital. The Mag Mile could be closed to vehicular traffic on Sundays, and functions could be held such as Meet Me on the Mile yoga, as seen in the picture on the right. Some people are even having weddings at the iconic venues such as the Wrigley Building. This could be increased by closing off the street on weekends. Wayfinding is a problem. There is some signage along the Mag Mile now, but it's been proposed that digital media be harnessed, especially for the younger people that know how to do this. Mobile apps could be added so people could plan their trip, plan their shopping, view current events, and also plan a historical walking route. The wayfinding could be both physical and interactive, as seen in this picture of Memphis on the right. There could be ambassadors. These would be unarmed security personnel with radios, which would help tourists and also report criminal activity. However, there is some signage that we do not want to see on Michigan Avenue. Will these changes be accomplished? Well, perhaps some of them may. Unfortunately, or it is unlikely that all will ever come to fruition. Daniel Burnham's 1909 bold plan for Chicago was only partially realized, especially along the lake. He did not plan for expressways in Chicago. And can you imagine the city if we did not have expressways? Arthur Rubloff's plan in 1947 for North Michigan Avenue that redid the area from St. Clair to Rush Street and from the river to Lakeshore Drive was never fully realized, although many of the changes were. He also proposed 1,500 car parking garage, ice skating rink, concert venues, and those things were never built. All we know is that the Magnificent Mile is due for a change despite its beauty, but it faces some big challenges nowadays and needs some changes. So it's been proposed that a new media campaign be started for the Mag Mile, and perhaps the slogan that could be used on t-shirts, bumper stickers, and other media would be the More Magnificent Mile. Let's get together again virtually next month. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected with your alumni and your fellow alumni. And I look forward to our meeting again next month.